Eastern European twink death is a horrifying thing. If you guys are certainly online like myself, you've probably heard of the term twink death, which essentially, to put it short, is people making fun of aging. This, for example, happens a lot to Leonardo DiCaprio. He gets compared a lot to the way he used to look and how he looks now. People like Alex Jones are being used as an example. Sam Hyde, you know, whoever. Essentially, any media personality that got pretty famous or popular when they were young and looked completely different is taken and then compared to their current self, making fun of their appearance a little bit, but also just pointing out how, no matter if you try to run from it, sooner or later, time is gonna catch up with all of us and all of us are gonna change. And honestly guys, myself, as a Russian, as a Slavic person, I think we, Slavic men, know a thing or two about hitting the wall. And in fact, in a lot of cases, it almost seems like Slavic men or Eastern European men, so people from countries like Russia, Ukraine, Serbia, Poland, many more, and even a lot of the countries that used to be in the Soviet Union, it seems like in these countries, men almost kinda age quicker than they do in the West. I mean, let's check out this video right here. Men in the United States versus the post-Soviet Union. Yes guys, so this video is pretty much exactly what I'm talking about, right? So hey there people, it is your boy Roman, your favorite neighborhood Russian. How you guys doing today? Welcome to a brand new video in which we're gonna be talking about the issue of the Slavic twink death and why it seems like a lot of people in the East, specifically men, seem to age a lot quicker compared to the people of the same age in the West. And look, I really don't want to try to offend anybody with this video or like try to say that all Slavic men are essentially like ugly or something compared to Western men, but let's be honest, right? Fellow Slavic men, there is a reason why memes like these about Balkan couples exist, okay? You know, there's several versions of this that I've seen over the past couple of years. The idea of a Balkan couple or a Slavic couple is a perfect 10 out of 10 lady that is accompanied by, you know, a man that is kind of just like average, right? That is the ultimate stereotype of a Slavic couple. Even in the West in general, like Russian women, Slavic women and so on, are kind of fetishized. They're seen as, you know, these epic treadwives that are also really beautiful and they really take good care of themselves, and that is actually very true. Whereas men in a lot of these countries kind of seem like they don't really care that much about their appearance or about looking fit or looking well groomed or, you know, dressing well. And essentially it seems like for every single Slavic man out there, the pattern is pretty simple. Before the age of 30, 35, every Slavic man looks basically like this. And then at a certain point a switch is flipped and the Slavic man essentially starts looking like this immediately. Like, there's really no in between here. You are either a twink or you're basically Shrek. And look guys, once again, I myself am a good example of this because I'm currently going through the process of Slavic twink death. Just a few years ago, I looked like this, I had a sharp jawline, I looked young and full of life. Now, I look like somebody's Russian uncle. I've got the form, you know what I'm saying? I've got the build. And the funniest thing is that in Russia right now, there's actually a new word, a new trend that exactly describes what I'm talking about, and that word is SKUF. But before we continue, I'd like to take a small amount of time to tell you guys about the sponsor of today's video, ReadPartner. ReadPartner is an AI tool that allows you to summarize documents, videos, emails, and websites just in one click. ReadPartner is available as either a Chrome web browser extension or as a standalone website, and if you install the free ReadPartner Chrome browser extension, you're gonna be easily able to summarize the content that you see online or that you read online using one really nice summarize button that appears on top of the page. And the ReadPartner browser version actually does a lot more. Here I'm able to summarize different content that I want, and actually I'm able to customize how I want it. If I want it to be a wall of text or if I want it to have bullet points. Recently they also added interactive summaries so you can actually discuss it with AI. And another feature that the ReadPartner portal has is creating your own news digest. You can customize it in many different ways, you can choose from a variety of different languages, and they're actually adding new ones, they're constantly updating this thing. And all of your data on the portal is also anonymized and unavailable to pry and ice. And ReadPartner also helps to save a lot of time. The average ReadPartner user saves up to about 28 hours a month on reading the news, consuming different types of content, and also doing research and studying. Just imagine the things you could do with all of that extra time. Right now, ReadPartner is actually running a special offer, and if you guys would like to check it out yourself, then go over to the link down in the description, register, and use the code NFKRZ25 to get 50% off when upgrading to any paid plan. Huge thanks to ReadPartner for sponsoring this video, and let's get right back into it. So, what is a SKUF? SKUF is essentially a Russian meme that came about a few years ago, actually started out on the Russian image board, the Russian version of 4chan called Dvach. And it actually started out on that website based on the name of like an admin that was involved in some sort of dispute on the website. And the guy essentially looked just like a stereotypical Russian uncle kind of. And the guy's last name was SKUF. And instead of calling him by his full name, they started calling him SKUF.
And yeah, to be clear, by the way, this was a grown man recording a video to another user on an anonymous image board website because he got so triggered, so he made a video response in which he also was trying to make like a Z point saying that Ukraine is gonna be destroyed soon or whatever. So just the unseriousness of this whole thing is amazing.
And sooner or later what happened is that the word SKUF, first on this website, the Russian 4chan, started becoming a general word for a sort of middle-aged Russian man who really let himself go, who's eating unhealthy food, drinking beer, sitting around all day in front of the TV, you know, talking shit. And then sooner or later this meme kind of escaped this website and started being used more and more often by more and more people, and now actually the word SKUF is known by pretty much all Russians, and it became a new slang word that now denotes, once again, this idea of a sort of a regular middle-aged Russian uncle, right, who likes all the things that sort of a normie Russian would like. The stereotype is that SKUF probably has a family, probably has a dacha, enjoys, you know, drinking a bunch of beer and doing barbecue. And actually in Russia, this idea of a SKUF even comes with some political and cultural undertones. Like a SKUF, this traditional Russian man, is implied to be, you know, a big fan of the government, a big fan of Vladimir Putin and everything that is going on. He's definitely the kind of type of person who thinks that gay people are, you know, all crazy. And a type of person that is definitely against the woke West and everything. A big Russian stereotype is that this kind of person usually is also a big fan of the multiplayer game World of Tanks, because World of Tanks is a Belarus-made game originally that is very popular with, you know, a lot of 45-year-old patriotic Russian dads, because, you know, in the game you can basically take part in like World War II battles and, you know, use Soviet tanks or whatever. So, and overall it's just kind of your archetype of your average slop-eating Russian peasant, basically. That's the idea of the word SKUF. I think probably the closest word you have in English now to the word SKUF is unk. You call somebody an unk when they're out of touch and kind of old, or, you know, they're past their prime. SKUF is a little bit similar, but, you know, it's a way bigger concept. It's, you know, it's very hard to explain, actually. Which brings us the question. Obviously, don't want to generalize and say that all Western men are, you know, perfect giga chads that are going to the gym daily. They look perfect, they're all well-groomed. That's totally not true, because in the West you have Asmongold, and here's already enough evidence to the fact that, you know, not all Westerners like hygiene and stuff like that. I'm also not trying to say that every single Eastern European man, Slavic man, is actually like this, doesn't care about how they look, and, you know, that there's no like buff gigachads in Russia or whatever. But I do have a question. Why does it seem like men kinda do take less care of themselves and do age faster in the East compared to the West? And I think there's a lot of reasons that can be combined here. You know, it's the quality of life, income, free time, stuff like that. Political factors, you know, all of this comes into play. And quite honestly, guys, I do think that there is a difference between Western and Eastern men. I've always felt like, to a certain degree, in Russia, my home country, because it's a more of a socially conservative country, right? The idea of a man kind of taking care of himself and grooming himself and really paying really close attention to his aesthetics and how he looks is... how do I say it? It's basically considered gay. I mean, look, here's the thing. From what I've seen, a lot of men in Russia seem to think that grooming yourself is not necessary, and it's about, you know, what you actually bring to the table or whatever. How you put food on the table, how you support your family, whatever. And looks don't matter. In fact, in Russia, we even have a pretty common saying. Мужчина должен быть немного красивее обезьяны. A man is supposed to be a little bit more beautiful than a monkey. And it's actually a saying that both men and women use in Russia because, in Eastern Europe, I do think that even the standards of beauty and what women look for are also different compared to the West. A lot of Russian women, despite looking, perfect, do fall in love with men who look like SKUFs, right? And the reason is because they find them attractive. And even though Western girls might not agree, this still absolutely does happen, and this is how, you end up with Balkan couples, once again. But look, in Russia, and I feel like in a lot of Eastern Europe, men being into fashion, being into jewelry, being into these things that are, a lot of the time considered feminine, is basically considered sus, I come from the city of Chelyabinsk in provincial Russia. I feel like I've maybe seen a man running on the street, like running as in, doing sports. Maybe I could count the amount of times on my fingers when I've seen a man running in the street in Chelyabinsk, my hometown, because I feel like in my hometown where I come from in Russia, if you're running around the city in order to lose weight as a man, as an adult man, they will basically look at you as if you are a homosexual. More or less that is the truth, because a lot of men, once again, they have this mindset of, I'm a man, I'm an ape, I'm basically a gorilla or whatever, I'm not meant to be pretty, I'm meant to conquer and win. In Western countries, here in Europe, I definitely do feel like there's a culture of being healthy and being mindful and all this type of shit. Taking care of yourself, going to the gym, running, swimming, surfing, all this type of stuff, Just the environment, the weather, everything allows for a lot of great stuff to do. In Russia though, where I come from, a very big chunk of the year, it's really, really cold outside. And it's really not the best weather to do any sports or something like that. So I feel like most men in Russia, they spent like 7-8 months out of the year kind of in a hibernation mode. Kind of like a bear does. And only in the summers when they really do some physical activity, like, planting stuff with the dacha or whatever. But in Europe and the United States, everybody's a health nut, drinking, smoothies and green juices. Eastern Europe, to me, though, it feels like it's not about that at all. It's about staying inside, drinking vodka and eating potatoes, basically. And also I think another reason why this happens is just because of the overall state of these countries. I mean, Eastern Europe has been consistently going through a lot for the past couple of decades, right? War after war, crisis after crisis, huge protest after huge protest, corruption after corruption. Every country in the Eastern Europe is low-key fucked on this or that level, right? And a lot of people overall, I think they don't have as much hope for the world as some of, these optimistic Westerners out there. I think that contributes a lot, actually. The stereotype of, the post-Soviet or Russian doomer is very real. A lot of Eastern European men, I think, these days in these countries that are middle-aged, I feel like a lot of them are just depressed. They've already been through a bunch of bullshit in their lifetime, they've had to go through things that Westerners didn't have to. I think the life of the average Eastern European man has been a lot more traumatic and insane in the last 20 years compared to the life of the average Western man, right? So that's just... I think that contributes in a way. When people are just like depressed, drinking, not really looking forward to the future, I feel like everybody's just like, yes, let's just eat, become fat, whatever, who gives a fuck? I don't give a fuck about being a health nut and drinking green juices or whatever and running around like a little soy boy. I like to drink rakia and eat potatoes and meat and be a real man. You know what I'm saying? So yes, I definitely do think that Slavic Twink Death is a real thing, and it is terrifying, because honestly, all of us Slavic men, once again, we can all take a look at how our uncles, our dads, and our granddads look, and at a certain point, all of them transformed into being the ultimate Slavic man of all time, and no matter how much you fight it, sooner or later, it seems like all of us will turn into that ultimate Slavic man, and I am very, very afraid. However, I do understand that will probably be my peak form as far as, my own evolution goes. Anyways, guys, that is going to be pretty much it for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Subscribe for more, become a member, do a super thanks, yada yada yada, support me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.